Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on another Sig Sauer P320. This particular one is the AXG Scorpion. Very beautiful P320. Love that color, love those grips. And this is a very interesting P320 because unlike many of the other guns in this model line, this has an all-metal frame. But we're going to talk about that once I thank the people that always make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this incredible pistol, and that is a local subscriber named Ken. Ken, thank you so much for lending this firearm to the channel. It means so much to me. I want to thank my Patreons as always, because through their monthly donation they help keep the lights on around here. And I also want to thank my primary sponsor for all of these range reports, Brownworks. Brownworks is a company that makes high quality wood grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a number of different exotic woods. He can put on custom logos, custom engravings, and even make laminate woods. He can finish them in so many different ways. And I want to thank him specifically because these range reports are only possible because Mark, the owner of Brownworks over there, is a huge supporter of the Second Amendment and YouTube creators like myself. The ammunition that he supplies for this channel allows me to make these awesome videos. Well, I think they're awesome, and hopefully you do as well. I know some people say they don't want to watch my videos because I have a sponsor. Well, I couldn't make these videos without people like Mark. We're all in this together, the Second Amendment community supporting each other. So please take a moment, go click the link that's in the description and a pinned comment. Go check out Brownworks. Go look at the amazing grips that Mark can make over there. And maybe you have a firearm that can accept wood panel grips. And I'm telling you, you're going to find something over there and go, I really like the way that looks. I like to have a custom logo. Who knows, maybe you want the Texas Gun Vault logo on your grips, and he can do it. He can also laser engrave magazines like PMags, 1911 magazines, and even the Magpul AK-47 mags. So he can put on any type of custom logo that you can create. So please go check out Brownworks. Tell Mark thank you for supporting the Texas Gun Vault and all the Second Amendment content on YouTube. And as always, tell them the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about this P320. Such a really cool and different P320 than anything else that's really out there. When I was doing my initial research on this pistol, one thing that came up a whole bunch is which is better, the P320 Legion or the P320 Scorpion? And a lot of people were saying this was the better gun, even though Sig says the Legion is the flagship. So it's really cool going to the range and shooting these back to back, because my last range report was on the P320 XFive Legion. So I'm really curious to see how this one is going to shoot. Now this is an all metal frame, and I have to tell you, Sig did an amazing job on this frame. I was really kind of surprised because this is supposed to be a polymer frame gun, and for them to make an all metal frame, they finished it really well. The finish on it is very smooth. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but there's so much custom work that went into this, and the grip panels are removable, unlike the other models in the P320 line. So that is really interesting, and I think the back panel also comes off as well. That back strap, I'm not sure how that would come out. So it looks like there might be a little set screw in the back, but these panels I know could come out. So who knows, maybe you want to get yourself some Brownworks grips for this if you owned one. But this pistol is really cool and a huge upgrade from the original. So as always, I like to just kind of handle it here in the garage, give you guys my initial impressions. And I can tell you there's a few things about this that I like and don't like. And obviously, I'm gonna say I absolutely love this metal frame. It adds so much weight to this pistol. One of the things that I've really come to appreciate is the weight of a pistol and its balance, especially when you're shooting. Personally, I don't find it very hard to conceal carry a heavier pistol. Maybe it's because I have a very nice EDC belt from Core Essentials, and I try to buy nicer holsters, so they just carry a little bit better. So I'm perfectly fine carrying something that's a little bit heavier, and that heavier weight often translates into a better felt recoil and the gun being more accurate. I've already alluded to the fact I love these G10 grips and the side panels on this. And I have to say, I really like the fact that this has a very nice feeling trigger. I said the same thing about the XFive Legion as well. I just don't like that flat face trigger, and that's one thing about the gun I really don't like. I also like the fact it has an accessory rail. To me, this looks like a really upgraded M18 because it is the compact version of that particular firearm. So now let's talk about the things that I don't like. I've already alluded to one, the flat face trigger. I know on all of the upper end SIGs, they want you to have this flat face trigger, and I'm all for it. If you love the flat face trigger, I think you should be able to get it. I am not saying that the curved trigger is superior. I'm just saying I wish they gave us an option, but they don't. They're just saying take it or leave it. I just wish it had that curved trigger, but that's a personal preference. You may absolutely like that, but I don't. So then let's also talk about the lack of safeties. I mentioned this with the P320 XFive Legion. There is no manual safety, and the trigger doesn't have the trigger dingus, as some people call it, like on the Glock pistols, and there is no frame safety like a grip safety, none of that. So for me, there's nothing stopping a negligent discharge. I know some people are going to say you don't need a safety on a striker-fired handgun, and I do agree. I don't think I would really carry it with the safety on, but the fact that it just doesn't have that manual safety, and I do know SIG offers it with some models. I wish they would offer it on this, or have that little dingus safety. Yes, it's an extra part. It just gives me a little peace of mind. I know that SIG had some problems with these particular P320s, or maybe not this particular model, but the P320s in general, with negligent discharges, or the guns just going off, as some people said, when they were dropped, because somehow that whole trigger mechanism was able, due to its weight, come back and fire the round. But if they had that little dingus in there, it wouldn't be able to do that. So just some extra level of safety, I would really like that in this particular gun. Just one safety, a grip, trigger, or frame-mounted side safety. That's all that I would really want on this. But no one else seems to have that problem. But that's the only thing about this gun that I don't like. So let's get this thing to the range. I'm really curious to see how an all-metal P320 is going to shoot. So I'm going to set up the target at 7 yards, put 15 rounds through this thing, and these are my first shots. I'm really curious what this thing is going to feel like, if I'm going to like the trigger, and how accurate it is. So let's see what happens. All right, so that was a pretty good group. Not my best, but I have to say from shooting it, it feels great in the hand. It's a really fun gun to shoot. And after shooting it, there's a couple things about the gun that I noticed that I really like. Number one, when you load these magazines, they're really easy to load. Some models of guns just have magazines that it's really hard to top these things off. These magazines, really easy to load. I like that and appreciate that a lot. As you guys know, I do have rheumatoid arthritis. And the other thing that I did notice when I was shooting it is the way that this slide mates up to this frame. It just feels really smooth. I wasn't expecting that from this modular trigger group. I don't know if it has anything to do with the frame. It just feels so much more solid and kind of has that Cadillac recoil feel of like the Sig P320, 225 type of guns with that full length rail. So I really like the way that that feels. It's a fun gun to shoot. The trigger is really nice. And I've talked about this in previous P320 videos where I say when you dry fire one of these firearms, it has kind of an anemic feel and anemic sound to it. So let me make sure that gun is safety checked. There it is. We're empty. I'll pull that trigger back. It just kind of feels weak. But when you actually have ammunition in the firearm, it feels great. It doesn't feel anemic. And I've never had a light primer strike, but man, it sure sounds like that trigger would strike that primer a little bit light. But just shooting it, it seems fun, seems relatively accurate. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so now let's set the target out at 12 yards, about double the distance of what I was just shooting at. I'm gonna go for the head on this IDPA target, put another 15 rounds down range. I'm just curious to see how this grouping is going to open up. I call this the accuracy portion. And please remember, I am not a trick shot, and I'm not gonna bench rest this. So this is more of a test of just how do I shoot this at further distances. I call it the accuracy portion, but it's not really a bench rest test. So let's see how I do and see if this grouping opens up any. I guess it's just due to the weight, but this gun barely flips at all. It's pretty heavy for a compact gun, and it has such a great recoil. Now, all of my shots were in the head box, so I'm pretty happy with that, but I am shooting it just a little bit to the left. And I think that has to do with the fact that this gun, as compared to the XFive Legion, has combat sights on it. So that front post is kind of wide. Let me show you what this looks like. It's pretty much the standard Sig sighting system, where on the XFive Legion you have that fiber optic front sight made by Dawson Precision. It's a little bit more narrow, and you really feel like you could do a little bit more fine point work with that. But this is a little combat sight. It's a little bit wider. Maybe that's why I'm shooting a little bit to the left. So I'll have to adjust for that as we go on. All right, so the next portion of this test, I want to give my wife, Becky, a chance to shoot this. She always likes shooting all these guns, and I'm curious what she's going to think about this particular gun. She is a little bit what I call grip sensitive. Now, these grips are not aggressive at all, but the finish on this firearm is a little bit smooth. That is the one thing that I kind of like, is it feels good in your hands, but I can also see maybe if you have slippery hands, you might have to be constantly readjusting, and I have a feeling she might have to do that with this particular gun, but we're going to see. So I'm going to set the target out again at 7 yards, give my wife a chance to shoot this and see what she thinks. So she did okay. She shot a few guns better than this. She said that she liked it. It felt good in her hands, but you also know she did have to readjust her grips almost after every shot, which is something that I was expecting. She doesn't like the aggressive grips, but she doesn't have to do that when the grip is a little bit more aggressive. So it's really trying to find that nice balance for her. She said she did like the way this gun looked, especially these grips. She said it looked like snakeskin, but she is not a fan of the colors. The one thing in our marriage I don't think that we're ever going to come to a consensus on. I love flat dark earth and tan firearms, and she likes them pink. And obviously this gun is not pink. But she said she really likes the way it looks. It's an aesthetically pleasing gun to her. So that's a big plus in my category when it comes to trying to find her a gun. So this might be something I will look at in the future. Who knows? I thought she shot it okay, and she said that she liked it and had no complaints. All right, so the next test I want to do is what I call the defensive use, especially with a gun like this that I think is designed more for concealed carry. Essentially, if you have to change magazines, can you do it fast? Now this gun, as compared to the XFive Legion, doesn't really have much of a mag well. However, these grip panels are kind of flared at the bottom, and these magazines, of course, are single feed, so that's probably going to make it pretty easy to get this magazine in and out. And I do like the fact these magazines just fly right out of there. So I'm gonna load up 2 magazines with like 5 or 6 rounds, shoot as fast as I can, see if I can change this magazine really fast. And if an average gun guy like myself can do it fast, well, I know someone that trains this way, and probably you guys can do it faster than me. So let's see if I run into any problems. I can run this gun pretty fast. I'm really happy with it. I do have to say, every test that I've done with this gun so far, it's just been fun to shoot. And that's a very qualitative thing. Some guns perform perfectly here on these range reports, but I'm not really enthusiastic about them. They're just kind of bland and dull. This gun just has something to it that's like, man, that's just a fun gun to shoot. It feels great in your hand. Pretty accurate. You can shoot it fast. It's reliable. It's fun. This gun, to me, has the fun factor, but I can't really put my finger on it why that is. So, I don't know, I'm going to have to give it a lot of good points for that one. All right, I have one more test, and that's going to be the hollow point test. Obviously, if you're going to conceal carry this, well, is it going to run hollow points? You got to find out. Well, I'm going to run some Federal Hydroshocks through this. I'm pretty sure it's going to take it like a champ. I've never had any other issues with any P320. I know they're designed to run hollow points, but you never know. So, load up a magazine full of some Hydroshock. Let's just see if I have any issues. And as I suspected, no issues whatsoever. It has a healthy ejection whether you're running ball ammunition or hollow points. This has just been an absolutely fantastic review, and I have to say that Sig has really impressed me with this gun. I really never thought I'd ever see an all-metal P320, and I thought, well, if I ever saw one or handled one, well, I don't know if I'm going to like it. Well, I absolutely love this gun. It has a fun factor to it. It's really well built. As I said, when you rack the slide, you just kind of feel that quality. It sounds like it's quality. It's built quality. Something else too, and I forgot to mention earlier, is that I really like the undercut on the trigger guard right there. Yeah, you really feel like you get a nice good grip on that, and you have kind of as low of a bore axis as you possibly can. And that probably plays into why the gun recoils so well too. So, what are my final thoughts on the Sig Sauer P320 AXG Scorpion? Well, all I can say is this has been a huge surprise to me. I knew I would like it, but I didn't know I'd like it this much. I still have a few issues with it. I just feel like these P320s need some type of safety. Even if it's not a frame-mounted safety, it has to have something external. I know it has that firing pin block as well, but just something external. it would just give me peace of mind, especially with more novice shooters. So I don't know if I'd ever recommend the P320 to someone that's just getting into firearms. I usually recommend Glocks. And I know some people are going to say, Glocks are pieces of junk. I think Glocks are fantastic. I know a lot of people don't like the way they look or the grip angle, but I have really found that those are very intuitive guns to use, especially for new shooters. And I really think the P320 is kind of following in that footsteps, but I would really want it to have one safety for me to feel comfortable recommending it to a new or novice shooter. But overall, this particular model has really impressed me. It's fast, it's fun to shoot, it looks great. I mean, just look at those grips. Look at that finish. Gotta love the color. Man, aesthetically, it's really pleasing, has tons of options, reminds me of the M18, which I think is a fantastic handgun. So, on my star system, how would I rate this particular firearm? Well, I'm going to have to give this pistol, just like I did the XFive Legion, 4.75 stars out of 5. I just can't give it the 5 out of 5 stars because of the lack of the safety and the flat face trigger. But everything else exceeded my expectations. It shot great, it's well built, it's accurate, and most importantly, it's fun. It's really fun. And this is a gun that I would take to the range a lot if it was my personal firearm. So I'm so glad that I got a chance to shoot this, and it has really given me new insight into what the P320 can offer. So I'm really curious, do you guys own one of these? Have you ever shot one of these metal framed P320s? And is your experience different than the polymer ones? I would love to know in the comment section below. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So, as always, thanks for watching.